4 a.m. Tonight, Detroit police get a terrible call at 4 a.m. of a murder-suicide attempt at a home on the city's east side. It left one Detroit woman dead, and as our Rod Maloney reports, the family, who had guests and 4 children in the home at the time, is reeling.
Family tells Local 4 News 30-year-old Shanique Collins died this morning. Police tell Local 4 News the man who asked for her hand in marriage just 2 months ago shot and killed her in their apartment in the early morning hours on the Far East Side. Shanique's grieving sister Shamira Collins and a friend tell us about the full life she led.
She just turned 30, just got engaged. She was everything. Love to dance.
Love to dance, have fun, cook.
Have 3 beautiful daughters. Always kept them up, always kept herself up. It's just crazy.
That was disturbing enough, but Detroit Police Captain Michael DeCiccio of the 5th Precinct says the couple argued downstairs after a night with friends visiting who were in the apartment along with their children.
3 children that they have in common were upstairs sleeping, and there was another of the persons that were visiting. One of their children was also there. So there are 4 children in the apartment total.
All of the children were under the age of 10. Children's father had a 9mm handgun. Police say after shooting his fiancée, he turned the gun on himself, but survived the gunshot.
Everything was cool. Like, I don't know.
Now, you look behind me here, there's the door of the apartment. You can see the police tape on the ground. Police are telling us that the fiancé who shot himself in the head has gone into surgery at St. John's Hospital. He's listed in critical condition, and they're going to have to wait and see whether there can be a prosecution or if something else transpires to change where they might be headed. Reporting live in Detroit, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Absolutely senseless. Okay, Rod.
Hey, what's going on, folks, here at ScrewTube? I bring you yet another harrowing tale from Blackistan. Now, this story would be like hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands that we've heard over the years, and dozens that I've reported on over the course of the last 5 years. Except there is one twist. Well, it's actually not a twist. It's kind of more like a straight line, because we've also heard this before, including recently. As you heard, this young lady, Shania Collins, was murdered by the man you see on the left there, her Pookie and Ray Ray fiance, after they got into a heated argument inside of their apartment, as their 3 children and another child slept in another room, and there were 2 other people still unidentified in the apartment. Now, the argument could have been anything over, between somebody leaving the toilet seat up to her, cheating on him behind his back, or him cheating on her behind her back. But whatever it was, it led to her being shot and killed, and him turning the gun on himself while their guests and their child were elsewhere in this apartment, probably getting high. Now, what caused me to take special note of this story, because again, like I said, we've heard it before. It's nothing, that we haven't seen or heard before. These Pookies and Ray Rays, they kill their ghetto queens all the time. And, we've seen this story play out before. But it was not so much the victim and the killer that caused this to be brought to my attention, or caused me to raise an eyebrow on the story. But it was because of a post that the half-sister of this young lady, Shania Collins, that was killed, Shanique Collins, that was killed, made, that went viral on Facebook a couple of days after she was excuse me, y'all, this dry cough is killing me. After she was killed by her fiance, which, as you heard in the news story, had just literally proposed to her a couple of months before this argument that, spilled out of control happened. And by the way, the guy who was listed in critical condition that killed himself, Andre Pudge, he died. I read that earlier this morning. He died of his wounds, so there won't be any prosecution for him. But let me go ahead and read you guys what Shanique's half sister said, if you haven't read it already, as it is here in the screenshot. And thus far, well, as of May 3rd at least, it had 907 shares and 328 comments. Says, quote, I haven't said RIP to Andre yet. Probably cause I've been mad and I've been trying to make it all make sense. But how can I hold a grudge when I know him all my life, when I've known him all my life, as far as I can remember? How can I hold a grudge when my nieces look just like you? Andre, I know you love Shanique Collins. I'm not gonna let nobody tell me you didn't, cause you loved her and you loved my nieces so much. This why it's hard putting the pieces back together. Because why did it go so wrong? Why did my nieces have to lose both their parents? I don't blame you. I blame anger and maybe everything that's happened does happen for a reason. God got a plan, right? So yeah, it hurts, but he know what he doing, and I know I'm going to see her again one day. I guess that's what she means. I love both of you. Rest in peace, y'all. Andre Pockets on Pudge. That's the name that he goes by on Facebook. So, as we see here, and you can imagine why this post, if you have any inkling of common sense, you can imagine why this post went viral. There's several things at play here that a lot of people spoke on in replying to this woman's post, paying homage to not only her murdered sister or half sister, but also to the man who killed him. Now, this is actually very funny because, as you brothers recall, I made a video, and it makes me almost feel like a prophet now. But I made a video about 2 weeks ago where I actually commented on a story out of Northern California. Of course, this happened in Detroit, but out of Northern California, where this man who is a nonviolence activist called Donald Lacey, well known in the Oakland area, also a comedian, he met with Christopher Smith, the man who brutally gunned down his daughter with a stray bullet as he was aiming for a rival gang member 21 years ago in 1997. And Mr. Lacey, he met with this guy, and in front of CNN cameras, he forgave him for murdering his daughter. And I popped a question to you brothers as to whether or not you could forgive a person who killed your blood, who took your loved one away from you. And 99.9% of y'all said the same thing that I said. Hell to the motherfucking no. Now look, and I actually have a blog that's going to include this story regarding why there's all this free little Spoon and little Tay Tay, but there's no free Bill Cosby. I'm going to include this actual story and the story out of Oakland, California. And I'm not here to tell anybody how to grieve. I'm not here to, belittle what someone is going through. Of course, we know, as I've said before, I don't, in situations like this, I usually don't have any sympathy for these thoughts because, I look, the loved ones, they do what they got to do to grieve, but I know that 9 times out of 10, the female was complicit in her own undoing, directly or indirectly. We know, I mean, you saw the sister up there with the fake eyebrows and the weave. We know what these type of black females are involved with and get involved with. Nonetheless, I've also said that unless someone is harming or hurting you, no matter how stupid they are, that doesn't give you the reason to harm or hurt them. Now, with that being said, as I said, I'm not here to tell anyone how to grieve, okay? A lot of people believe that forgiveness is to help a person move on with their life, from bereavement. And some people feel like forgiving the perpetrator or the situation that caused the death of their loved one helps them to cope better. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. What I do have a problem with is this interesting dynamic in which this story is a picture perfect example of this argument that many of you know has been going on social media and primarily here on ScrewTube, that started with the likes of Cynthia G, Chrissy, and Nyla Says, talking about the educated lame versus the Pookie and Ray Ray, meaning the thug versus the black man who actually has something going for himself. And we know that this debate has been raging on. Well, it's kind of simmering down now, but it's been going on since the killing of Nipsey Hussle back last month, who was killed by another Pookie and Ray Ray. And, that's what really sparked that debate. And since then, these black females like Cynthia G on YouTube have been on a tear, trying to somehow justify and legitimize why the Pookie and Ray Ray is better than the educated lame. Now look, there was a time when I thought honestly, sincerely, that these hoes were just talking shit. When they were defending the Pookie and Ray Ray, I thought, these hoes, they're just trying to get underneath regular, normal thinking black men's skin. They're just being disingenuous. But see, when I hear stories like this, when I see posts like this, when I go back in time a few years ago, as many of you recall, to that black weave rat that won the lottery, I think it was the state lottery, and she paid the bail of her boyfriend, of her thug boyfriend, that was in jail on like $1 million bond for robbing a liquor store or some stupid shit. And she spent a significant amount of that money just to pay his bail. Other than the fact that we know that these hoes, they crave dick and attention. This made me realize something kind of concerning. A lot of these hoes ain't playing when they defend Pookie and Ray Ray. And not only will they defend him like those black people in South Carolina defended that, what was his name? That white boy that ran up in that church in Charleston, I think South Carolina, and killed all those black people. But they will defend him even up to the point where he kills, where he murders one of their own. This is some deep shit. This is some deep shit. Now, look, I said in that video about, you know, the the dude that forgave the man who murdered his daughter in 1997. I said, okay, after 21 years of emotional suffering, I can halfway see how a person can say, look, I'm tired of being depressed. You know, this has been haunting me for years and years. Maybe if I go and forgive this motherfucker, maybe inside of me I can have a release so I can get some relief. Because no matter what, nothing's going to bring my daughter back. I can halfway see that. But for your relative, your loved one, your sister, the body to still be fresh, and the person not, that y'all haven't even, buried the person, put them in the ground. And just like that white dude that shot up all those black people in that church, his name escapes me at the time being. The very next day of his arraignment, y'all remember, the very next day when they brought him in handcuffs to, to that court hearing to be arraigned on murder charges, the family of some of those family members were there to forgive that white racist for what he did. And as in this case, the very next day or a couple of days later, the Pookie and Ray Ray, who kills her sister, is immediately forgiven. And then when people are stepping back and taking a step back and they're shocked at this, like, whoa, wait, what the fuck? Okay, you forgive him, that's one thing. But you're saying you love him and you're putting him on the same level as your sister who he killed? Wait a minute. Then this is what this chick had to say about that. Quote, I wish people who don't even know them stop talking and trying to investigate what happened. We know what happened. I wish y'all stop talking about something y'all don't know. I wish y'all stop trying to be in the situation because y'all not and y'all wouldn't want to feel this pain. So why try to be a part of it? 2 families lost somebody. 2 parents lost a kid. Kids lost their parents. I really wish these outsiders stop trying to put 2 seconds in. And by the way, my sister still got 3 little sisters that might be able to protect her no more, but we are going to protect her name always and forever, period. So if anybody has something to say bad about her, y'all can talk to me. And yes, this coming from her youngest sibling. Wait, hold on, whoa. You say, and see, this is why I tell y'all don't argue with black women because a lot of them are mentally ill. You say that we don't know what happened. Yes, we do. Her Pookie and Ray Ray fiance, Andre Pudge, murdered her. And then he murdered himself. Okay? You saying don't investigate. We don't have to investigate. That's what the policeman's job is. And we don't need to investigate even if that wasn't what the policeman's job is because, again, we heard on the news and what happened. He killed her. Okay? But you want to save face. You are so busy trying to protect the Pookie and Ray Ray that killed your own blood when we know damn well hood chicks, hood thoughts like this, and the one you saw in that news report with the fake eyebrows and the weave, they will be quick to flag down a video like this or, call one of their beta male savages to try to attack somebody like me or look up my information for simply forming a public opinion about a situation where a mother of 3 was murdered by the man who proposed to her. Then they will be to call for a beta male savage or to flag down the video of a person who actually killed their own blood. If, wait a minute now, there is an if. There is a legitimate if. If that person that killed their blood falls under one of two categories. Because we know he can't be no Bill Cosby. No, 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 no. He can't be nobody with a brain in his fucking head. No. He has to either be a white man, like Dylan Roof, that's what his fucking name was, Dylan Roof. He has to either be a white man or he has to be a black thug. If he falls under one of those two categories, no matter what, whoa, I fucked up. I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive me. How could I fucking forget? Y'all, one of y'all should come through the computer screen and whoop my ass right now. How could I fucking forget the black pastor? Now, let me start over. Okay. So, if he's a white man, like the ones on Ghetto Gaggers, or like Dylan Roof, or like that white police officer in Tulsa, Oklahoma that was raping all those black women, if he is a black thug, or if he is a black pastor, then he gets a pass. But if he is a so-called educated lame, he don't get no pass. See, us, you see the dynamic in all of this. You see how fucked up and ass backwards the mentality of these Negroes are. You have a Cynthia G who got pregnant by the quintessential beta male coon, now defending the very same beta male coons she was dogging before she got pregnant and raw dogged by the guy. We can't even make videos. We can't even give our opinion, no matter how politically correct. Hence my video entitled, "This is what 40+ years of black women trying to rear black men, black boys into manhood looks like getting flagged down." We can't even form opinions about Blackistan without being flagged. But a Pookie and Ray Ray, a black pastor, a white man, but especially a Pookie and Ray Ray. Now, considering, if the white man is a white cop and, he's not getting no black pussy, then they'll march in Black Lives Matter. If it's a black pastor of a mega church, or, if he's broke a lot of black females' hearts that he done ran up inside, then he'll get put on blast. But that black thug, unless he's dating a snow bunny, as they say, if he's fucking these hood rats, he gets a pass no matter what he does. Even if he kills one of their own. Even if he kills a member of the sisterhood. Or should I say the hood sister. Shalai Rhodes said the very next day, when you forgive somebody, it doesn't always have to be for them. It can be for you so you can have peace. Stop saying I'm wrong for forgiving, because not only am I forgiving myself, I'm forgiving my nieces. Now, why does something tell me that the sister of this murdered woman would have forgiven the man who killed her, even if he survived his attack and didn't shoot himself or shot himself and was able to be nursed back to health by the hospital and was charged, convicted, and went to prison for what he did? Why does something tell me that forgiveness in her heart will still be there for this guy? Because I know black women. And not only do I know black women, I'd bet a buffalo nickel that I know the real reason why Mr. Andre Pudge, posthumously, in what y'all call the afterlife, is being forgiven by the half-sister of this woman who was killed. Now, you brothers can use your imagination. And when you use your imagination, we could leave it at that. But I'm going to throw you a little hint. Fuck it. I'll just go ahead and say it. Now, see, Because I know human nature. I know that had this female who made this post had absolutely no connection to the boyfriend, the fiance of this woman, Shanique Collins, that was killed, she probably would be posting, putting posts up just like, they do, talking about ain't shit niggas, all fuck this nigga, this, that, and the third. I hope he burn in hell, or do life in prison, whatever. But she clearly said in this post that I showed y'all earlier that she's known him all her life. Now, that could mean several things. But one thing we know it doesn't mean is that they're not related in the sense of like, brother, sister, bloodline. That means that she knows this dude about as well, if not better, at least from the way she thinks now. Because remember, women and men perceive things differently. Or they perceive the same thing but in a different way a lot of the times. From where she's sitting, she knows this Andre Pudge guy better, good, or even better than his woman did. See, I believe that she has some type of connection to this dude, where she had some type of feelings for this dude that was more than just, oh, you're gonna be my my step, I guess. What would he be called? My brother-in-law. Yeah, I think that's the name for it. You're gonna be my brother-in-law. I think there was something more to it than just him getting ready to be her brother-in-law and them growing up as childhood friends. Because remember what I told y'all. All of these females have one thing in common. Let's fix the visuals here. All of them have one thing in common for sure. They crave dick and attention. And just like with the black pastor, just like with the white man, if the white man is not a cop, and if the black pastor did not run through some of them and break their hearts. See, the reason why they have a problem with the educated lame, and the reason why the educated black man is lame, is because he's smart enough not to fuck with, and in a lot of cases not to fuck their lame asses. So that right there gives you a clue and a hint as to why this Pookie and Ray Ray, Mr. Andre Pudge, got a pass. I believe, and this is just a hypothesis, but knowing human nature and knowing Blackistan, I believe he gets a pass because he was getting that ass. And by that ass, I don't mean just his so-called fiance, Shanique Collins. I believe he was getting the worst of both worlds, if you know what I mean. And I'm just going to leave that at that. Talk to you later, guys.